books about famous Black heroes and heroines. So, what can I say? So I have 5 books out right now.
Well, brothers and sisters, that was a very brief bio because she didn't even really get into all the legal stuff you're doing. But, sister, thank you, Sister Nkechi, for being on. We don't have a lot of time now because of the technical difficulties, which I apologize for. I wanted to get into this Tyre Nichols case.
Yeah.
And by extension, kind of how does this whole federal thing in terms of charges and sentences and convictions. So we'll start. We had the 5 Black officers that basically beat this brother to death under the color of the law. This was not Sean and Jim beating up little Eric. These were sworn police officers, right?
Right.
To me, now I'm not a constitutional scholar, and I'm not a lawyer. But part of the framework of the Constitution is the protection of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, that is part of the overall framework, right? That's the overall framework that sets the stage for what the country should be, what government should aspire to. So it's difficult for me to understand how can police officers, again, sworn police officers, beat someone to death. And how is that? Well, let me just get to it. How is that, given the fact that these are sworn officers, given the fact that an investigation is done, why isn't, if you take somebody's life under color of law, how can that not be a civil rights violation? And the civil rights laws and stuff. So if you could educate us about that.
So, my brother, let me just say, it is so very hard to get convictions in federal prosecutions involving police. And I have to say involving police because there's so many federal prosecutions involving young Black men and women. Those are hard to get convictions. But when you're dealing with police prosecutions, not only is it very difficult to get convictions, many times the cops don't even get charged. And it's all about the police culture in America. The police culture in America where there is unchecked discretion. There's a saying that goes, as one goes down, the police hierarchy, discretion increases such that the cop on the street has more discretion to do what he or she wants to do, okay, than someone higher up. There's something quite wrong with that picture. That unchecked discretion leads to what's called the police code of silence. They protect each other, okay, to cover up abusive and unlawful activities. And all of this contributes to the police use of deadly and excessive force. Then you have the increasing use of militarization. You got the police out here on the streets looking like they in somewhere else fighting a war. Okay, well, it is a war. It ends up being a war on Black folk. But this increasing militarization is part of that whole process as well, even using surplus military equipment and things along those lines. And then you have ineffective current remedies. I mean, not only do they often not get charged, but when they are charged, the remedies are very ineffective. There's just so many aspects as to why the police end up getting get off scot-free. And this isn't necessarily a black-white thing, because when you deal with the police, it's blue. That's when you go into the code of silence and all that. But even though you're dealing with blue, the prosecutors, ironically, still are going to end up charging Black police officers more often than white police officers. In the case of Tyre Nichols, where you had 5 black police officers, they were very, very swift to, to bring them before the situation. And usually it's not that swift. So, I'm not condoning the blacks at all. I'm not doing it. I'm just saying there is a double standard wherever you go when it deals with black folks. Now, the evidence was totally and completely undeniable. I mean, we're talking about not just a beating. It's what they call a beat down at the hands of the police. Tyre Nichols, defenseless, called out in pain, in vain called for his mama. Not once, not twice, but 3 times, okay? And during the whole time, it was essentially used by those police officers as a punching bag piñata, okay? In an unabashed, nonstop, terrorized beating of this young boy for 3 long minutes. And what was his crime? I mean, what was his crime? I mean, I suppose it traffic stop. Okay?
They had to make up.
It's like, I spent most of my career dealing with issues dealing with the criminal punishment system, in the laws that result in harsh and unconscionably lengthy prison sentence. However, my brothers, in reflecting on these police killings, it's gravely evident that the victims of police violence don't get to the sentencing phase of the criminal justice process. They don't get to the courtroom, okay? And with the Chicago police torture with Birds back in the day, they out of luck even if they get to the police station. Victims of police violence, disproportionately black folk, never get on the path to justice. We only get to the morgue. And that's what happened with Tyre Nichols. He went to the morgue.
Sister, I want to go to the federal cases. So you had 3 officers convicted of federal civil rights violations and the death.
Yeah, but lower charges.
Right.
Yeah,
so they were. Two of them were found guilty of obstruction of justice and witness tampering. But as of yesterday, Justin Smith and Tadarrius were released. They're out of jail right now. They're out of jail.
Yeah.
So, and these are 2 of the officers that were found guilty of civil rights violations. Now, 2 of them are out on jail. One is supposed to go to trial January 22nd. The other one is supposed to go to trial January 24th. And Tyre Nichols.
Trial or sentencing? Is trial or sentencing?
No, sentencing.
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 Yeah.
So they I mean, this is like, how do you, I'm trying to wrap my mind about this. So are you saying it's not the system, it's the people that operate the system, or the collusion between the federal system and the cops? So, because to me, there was a higher charge that these cops were accused of, right?
Yeah, and they were found not guilty. Correct.
They were found not guilty.
Yeah. And the 2 people who
on the same line?
took a plea. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, right on the same line, because according to what he just said, like, if the prosecutor represents the state, but the officers also coming in representing the state, it seems like there's a collusion already there that would prevent the state prosecuting itself. Basically, to me, if the prosecutor is representing the state, the police officers are officers of the state, and they're going to, so when they get on the other side of the table, it's hard for the state to truly adjudicate against itself in a fair manner. I just wanted to add that aspect.
But these are not state. But these are not state prosecutors. These are federal prosecutors, right?
Yeah, but when you're saying state,
put it that way though. It's still it's still government. It's still the system.
No, what you're saying is hello.
Yes, ma'am.
The prosecution represents. It's supposed to represent the people.
Right,
people.
But
I just wanted
to
say that.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. But, that's what they're supposed to be representing, not the state, but supposed to be representing the people. Okay. And we know that they are all in collusion. I mean, that's one of the primary reasons why it's so very hard, not just to have them convicted, but for them to be brought to trial in the first place. The prosecution and the police, they work hand in hand. So it's difficult for a prosecutor to indict a police officer because they rely on police officers. You have the situation wherein they say, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. I mean, and then they're subjected to, or if they indict one police officer, then other officers may not cooperate with them in other cases. I mean, it's a incestuous situation, which is not good. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I understand that. I understand how that could operate, let's say, in Cook County, Illinois, right? Mm-hmm. Where you got Cook County, Illinois prosecutors who work with Chicago police who are in Cook County and other police forces in Cook County. When we come to the federal level, are we facing the same thing even though these prosecutors are not working with these cops regularly?
Well, it's a situation wherein there's something called the FOB, the federal, my brain is just, Fraternal Order of Police, FOP, Fraternal Order of Police.
Yeah.
And they put in a whole lot of money to prosecutors and a whole lot of money to elected officials. And many times prosecutors don't want to risk charging cops and get backlash from the FOP. They're very cozy with them. They depend on them. They know it's a situation that many times juries believe cops on the stand. Juries don't want to convict cops. Elected officials don't want to be, quote unquote, soft on crime. So it's not a good situation for the brother or sister.
But I wanted to focus on federal prosecutors who are appointed, right? They're not elected. Mm-hmm. So what's the problem with the federal prosecutors?
It's the same?
Go ahead, explain it to us.
I'm just saying it's the same situation. You have your state court system, and you have your federal court system. Mm-hmm. The federal prosecutors rely on the police, just as state prosecutors rely on the police. I mean, we're talking about the same system. Okay. Yeah. Now, we do have the Department of Justice, which, of course, did bring federal civil rights charges. The reason why two of them pleaded guilty early because they saw what the evidence was, and they did not want to get stuck with life in prison without the possibility of parole. So they accepted plea deals. But the way it turns out is that none of the three that did go to trial got life without parole. Okay, right. The one who got the more serious charge, I think I'm not sure. I think the highest thing that charged was a 20-year sentence as opposed to life without parole. So that's an interesting scenario in and of itself. Most time when people plead guilty, it's to get out from under a sentence or have the sentence much lower. this time, again, this was a jury. I don't know. You probably do because you followed it probably closer than I. Here's my voice. I've been at a conference all day. But, oh gosh, what was I saying? Oh, my brain just went dead. It's late. I'm an hour later than you all.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Go ahead. Take your time with your explanation. Because it seems to me, and the other person who was convicted, right? The other cop out of it. So you had 3 brothers and sisters that took a plea deal. You had 2 that took a plea. 2 that took a plea deal, and 3 that were charged.
To trial. Yeah.
So the other one, Demetrius Haley, he's the 3rd of the 3 that went to trial. Okay.
Right.
So he was found guilty of obstruction of justice and witness tampering and conspiracy to witness tamper.
Right.
Then he was convicted of deliberate indifference and excessive force involving bodily injury. Okay.
Not death. Bodily injury. Wait. He was not convicted of. It was bodily injury, not death. Okay, so that was a lesser charge.
Yeah.
Deliberate indifference.
Means. Yeah, explain what that means, sister.
Well, he was not convicted of intentionally. He was not convicted of murder. Let's just put it that way. Okay.
So
he was convicted of bodily injury.
They're saying that they just injured him, but he just happened to die while he was in the hospital, not as a result of the injury.
You got it. Yeah.
So, good Lord. So,
yeah, I mean, it's go ahead, sister. Go ahead, because I really want you to give us the benefit of your knowledge. I don't want us to interrupt you.
Well, no, I was just saying that the maximum sentence for the 3 would have been life in federal prison based on the original charges. Okay. The 2 of the 3 face a maximum sentence of 20 years. There's no parole in the federal system. Okay. Yeah. But they did not get life without parole. That's what they would have gotten from the original charges if they had been found guilty of that. You see what I'm saying?
And the original charges would have been murder, right?
Yes.
Because the lesser charge, as you explained to us, was this deliberate indifference and then excessive force involving excessive force involving bodily injury being the conviction. The conviction not being
tampering.
But the conviction not being murder.
Correct.
Right? That would be the difference. So now we're talking a 20-year maximum, but that don't mean these people gonna get it because they just let them out on bond.
You're correct. You're absolutely correct. Yeah.
And the two that pled guilty, did they plead guilty to the higher charges?
No, they pled guilty. They took deals and pled guilty to excessive force and conspiring to witness tamper. And they also testified at trial against the other 3 officers.
Yeah. So they'll probably get a lesser prison sentence, do you think?
Well, okay, they both pleaded. One of the 2 the prosecutors recommended 15-year sentence. Okay. The other one, the prosecutors are recommending a 40-year sentence. But they have not been sentenced yet.
Boy.
But see, both that 40 years is 20 years longer than the 20 years that the ones who went to trial on. That's usually not how pleas operate. Yeah.
So excuse me.
I will say this.
Go ahead.
I will say this. I don't recall, because was a year ago when all this happened, over a year ago. I don't recall the culpability of each of the five. Maybe the two that pled guilty were the most guilty, were the ones that actually did the, I mean, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And had they gone to trial, they might have gotten the more severe charge. I just, don't know. Yeah.
I think we have a caller now. I think he said we have a caller.
Yeah, let's hold the caller for 1 second. I wanna get to something real quick. So the two officers. So remember, brothers and sisters, 5 officers, right? 3 went to trial. That's what we've been talking about. But there were 2 that did the plea deal with the feds. That's Emmett Martin III and Desmond Mills Jr., right?
Okay, I don't remember their names, but they were 2.
They testified during the I guess my and this is what the one cop Emmett Martin testified. He admitted and he said, I wanted some kind of revenge. I was seeing red. And I think that what they did during the trial, they argued that he was the main one responsible for the beating. So it looks to me like it's possible that the ones who took the plea deal may get the most time. So what does that say for the future?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's not usually the way police operate. So,
but to me, it sends a signal based on what to me, depending on what the judge does, it sends a signal right back. Don't prosecute cops, and if you get prosecuted, in the end, you're gonna be all right. Let's take the call, brother James.
Okay, caller, are you there? Caller, are you there? Oh, okay.
Because, sister, I was really, because this is the thing for me, and you know much more about this than I do. So often we call for federal intervention, right? We call for the Justice Department to get involved. We call for a trial at the federal level. But as you said, most times there's no charges, even if there is an investigation at the federal level. There's no charges. So let me ask you another quick question before I go to that.
It could be that
how are jurors for a trial like this or a federal trial, how are they chosen?
I mean, they're chosen the way juries are chosen for all trials. I mean, based on your voting roles or whatever, you're called up for jury duty service, and you're either allowed to be on the jury or you're struck from the jury. What happens in many cases is that people who are likely to convict the cops are usually thrown off the jury, and those that are more likely to support the cops remain on the jury. Same as death penalty. Many of those who are in support of the death penalty end up remaining on juries, and those who are opposed to the death penalty end up being struck from juries. So, I mean, the whole system kind of works together to blow us. I'll just say it like that.
Hey, but Nava, do you think the cops that testified against the other cops, maybe that was a signal to them as well, like you said?
Let me tell you,
getting a longer sentence, so they send a message: don't testify against other cops.
Right, that was a real anomaly. Okay, and I can assure you that with this whole police code of silence that's up there, and they broke that code of silence, they better watch their backs. Because I'm talking about from their own fellow police officers, because, Police don't play that. That's why the code of silence is so powerful. You know, it's part of again police culture in America, which stems from the enslavement era all the way down through to today.
Yeah, and it seems like it's not just police, but it's police, prosecution, and judges. It's all three. You know, like you said earlier, kind of colluding together, because I really doubt. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't know all the particulars for sentencing, and I'm not a clairvoyant, so I can't see into the future. But I doubt these people that were convicted, that all three of them are going to get the maximum. I don't see it, because two of them is out on bond now, right now, and they weren't, as you explained to us, sister, they were not convicted of a major charge, right. So they about to be. So if you letting these people out on bond and they've been convicted, and somebody died, but like you clarified, sister, but they weren't found guilty of murder, I don't see them getting major charges. And to me, it's so heartbreaking, the loss of life of this man for no reason. Yeah. The pain of his family, the pain of all of us who saw this horrible, I'm gonna call it murder, committed before our eyes. Yeah. But these people are telling us what we saw didn't happen, right? Mm-hmm. But we keep calling for federal intervention, but it either don't come, or if this is too far off topic, sister, you can tell me, okay? Just say, nah, brother, that's a whole nother thing, okay? Mm-hmm. But I was in Ferguson, right? And this is what struck me. The Justice Department, this is under Mr. Obama, brothers and sisters, so pay attention. I'm going to do this real quick, 30 seconds. Justice Department investigates the Ferguson Police Department. They find all these constitutional rights violations, but they don't name one person being responsible. Right? So then Ferguson gets into some kind of consent decree. I'm telling you, the consent decree they got for cops in Chicago ain't worth the paper it's printed on. The department ignores it. They don't meet deadlines. But I guess I don't even know, sis. You can tell me. So I don't even know, because we keep trying to get justice. We don't get it at the state level.
But what we get is just us. Yeah.
Just us. You know, so is there anything we can do, anything we can fight for? Because, you know, you got, I mean, this young thing. Can I ask quickly? You know? Can I ask quickly? Go ahead, Brother James. Yeah, because we got about 6 minutes.
Yeah, I'll just be quick. You may or may not have an answer for this, but my question has always been, when a cop, we got a lot of people coming out of jail now because they were wrongfully convicted. And a lot of times it's because the prosecutor either withheld evidence or did something nefarious or wrong. Why is it that when somebody comes out of prison and let's say the prosecutor that did the wrong is still there, alive, maybe still practicing law, but they never bring up a charge against the person that put this man or woman in jail when they were innocent and they knew it because they either hid evidence or did something that put them away when they shouldn't have been put away? Why aren't they held accountable?
Yeah, well, they should be. They should come under charges just like these.
I never hear of them, or maybe am I just not hearing about them? Because I don't hear of.
A lot of times when there is a lawsuit, the lawsuit is against that people bring. It's a lawsuit against the state, not against the individual officer.
Right.
And that's one of the main problems when I say the ineffectiveness of current remedies. There is no individual police liability. And if there were, I think we would have a major change in how police treat people on the streets if they would be personally liable for the abuses that they do, as opposed to the charge coming against the state.
Yeah, I'm talking. Yeah, against the prosecutors.
I think we got Cliff Holden. We got about 5 minutes. Cliff, we can bring you in and you can get your point over. Well, let's bring you in because I know you want to talk to Attorney Taifa. So let's bring Cliff in. But we only got about.
I'll be brief and get right to the point. I'll get right to the point. The sister, if I'm not mistaken, she said it's not an issue of black and white, but an issue of blue. Is that correct, sister?
What I was saying is that normally it's not a situation of black and white when you deal with police officers. They're going to protect each other. They have the code of silence, whether you're black, whether you're white. If you're a police officer, they have this unwritten loyalty oath, which precludes an officer from reporting incriminating information about a fellow police officer. And police officers are apprehensive about violating this code because then they might become the targets of harassment or ostracism or abandonment by other officers in the street when they're in need of assistance. Essentially, they don't usually tattle on each other given that code of silence. So that's what I was saying. But I was saying also that prosecutors, even though they protect the police, and most of the time they do not prosecute police, we have seen that when it is black police officers, they are more willing and speedily to indict them than they are when it's white police officers. So,
I believe that.
And if you could just give it back to me, if I could just end with this, all I'm simply saying, I want to speak more to the mindset. And what I'm saying is that more frequently and more often you see white police officers that harbor hatred towards black people, victimizing and abusing black people. And so that would be based, in my opinion, on racism and hatred, bigotry. So now my question is that, is this different because you got black police officers not offending or abusing white people, but other black people? How do you categorize that in terms of a mindset? What do you call? You say what category do you put that in? Coming from black police officers. Thank you. I hang up and listen to your response.
I say self-hatred.
So not racism.
Indoctrinated self-hatred. I mean, I'm just saying because what they did to Tyre Nichols, who could have been their son or their brother, or or their nephew, was unconscionable. I mean, totally and completely unconscionable. I don't know how to say that any other kind of way, shape, form, or fashion. He committed the unfathomable crime of trying to run away from them because history has shown decade after decade, year after year, that if you stay, you're going to get beat and killed. Well, if you run, you're going to get beat and killed. No matter what, we're going to get beat and killed. And unfortunately, whether it's by white police officers or black police officers, and I say it's indoctrinated self-hatred amongst the black officers. I think
the other thing.
But it wouldn't be racism. It wouldn't be racism because of the simple fact that they don't have the support from the public, from the unions, or any other. I think that's where it's different from white police officers, where the white police officers get support coming from the administration, coming from the public, coming from the unions. Black police officers don't do that, and they damn sure don't do this and affect white people. And I'll end with that. Thanks for taking my call.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to say this. Ooh, Brother James, I almost let out one of them words, man. If you a black officer and you abuse your own people, I think you should get more time. That's my view. You don't get no less time. for killing your own people because, you're not black, you're blue. Stay blue.
Mm-hmm.
Stay blue. Don't try to come over here now, I'm black. The sad thing, sister, and I'm going to try to do this real quick,
All right.
is the history of real black police officers, like Howard Saffold in Chicago, Pat Hill in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Who's other brother James?
Ed Gosa.
These are real black officers that came on the police force to protect black people. And they fought these majority white police forces to protect black people. I had an aunt, Tina Russell, who was like one of the first kind of classes of black officers to come into the Baltimore City, notoriously racist police department. She was one of those officers. But, sister, we got about a minute. We're going to have to bring you back. But leave us with something. Definitely leave us where we can follow you, what you're doing, because this is, we've only just begun to delve into this conversation, in part because of the technicals. But go ahead. You got about
so I appreciate that. Yes. People can visit my website, and all my information is there. My website is my name, NkechiTaifa.org. N as in Namibia, KECHI, T as in Tanzania, AI, F as in Freedom, A. Nkechi Taifa. What was I saying? Nkechi Taifa. NkechiTaifa.org. Yes, so all my information is there. And my YouTube channel, I have loads of videos on there covering all topics you might be interested in dealing with black folk. It's on the Nkechi Taifa Experience YouTube. I'm on social media, Instagram, Facebook.
Sister, thank you. And listeners, we will post information about her on our website, straightwords.com. You should be able to get it tomorrow. Sister, thank you for coming in. Like I said, we want to bring you back in. You're going to stay black, so we ain't worried about that.
Hey,
we're going to bring you back.
Sure.
But thank you for coming on. Look, this is Straight Words. You're welcome. This is Straight Words on WVON AM 1690. We headed for a break.